My wife confessed to her friend, not knowing I heard it. I don't love him. It feels like living with a stranger. I had to disappear. But a year later, she found me, and I never expected what happened next. My name's Miguel Torres, 32 years old, and for a decade I have served as a sergeant in the Spanish Army. 3 missions in Afghanistan, 2 in Mali, countless nights in war zones. Every scar on my body tells a story of survival. But the deepest wound was not left by a bullet, but by the words of the woman I loved. I met Carmen in a bar in Malaga during a leave. Her laughter filled the warm air of the Costa del Sol. We got married in 6 months, just before my first long mission. "I'm strong, soldier," she told me with a smile that made me forget the desert. She promised to wait for me, and I believed her. For the first few years, our marriage withstood the distance. Perfumed letters, stolen video calls between missions, reunions that made time stand still. We bought a small apartment in Seville, dreaming of filling it with children someday, but someday was always postponed. Another mission, another wait. I noticed how the spark in Carmen's eyes faded every time I left, but I attributed it to tiredness. "Everything is fine," she would say, and I wanted to believe her. After my last mission in Afghanistan, something changed. I came home expecting the usual warm embrace, but Carmen was distant. Her smile was forced, her caresses mechanical. "I'm exhausted, Miguel." "Work," she told me, but her nights out with friends became frequent, and her phone was never far away. Once, when I tried to hug her, she tensed up. "It is nothing, I just need space," she murmured. I felt a knot in my stomach, but I ignored it. I had survived ambushes. I did not want to suspect my own wife. One night, my unit returned early from an exercise in Cadiz because of a storm. I decided to surprise Carmen. It was 8 p.m. when I parked in front of our apartment. A soft music was coming from the window, a song she had been humming lately. I approached with a bottle of wine, ready to win her back. Then I heard her talking on the phone in the kitchen. Her voice was light, almost cheerful. "No, Miguel is not coming back until Sunday. He is at one of his military exercises." I stopped, my heart pounding hard. "Lucia, I cannot take it anymore," she continued. "Living with him is like being alone. He is here, but he is not. I cannot stand it. Sometimes I think about leaving him, but it is too much trouble. The apartment, the bills. It is easier to go on like this. I do not love him. I have not loved him for years." Every word was a stab. I dropped the bottle. The glass shattered on the floor, but I did not care. I got into my car and drove aimlessly. That night, in a cheap hostel on the outskirts of Seville, I made a decision. There would be no confrontation, no yelling, no pleading. If I was a burden to her, I would disappear. At dawn, I withdrew €2,000 from an ATM, bought a prepaid phone, and destroyed my SIM. I sent an email to my commander requesting an emergency leave for family reasons. Then I drove north, towards Zaragoza, far from everything I knew. In Zaragoza, I rented a room in a simple hostel, paying in cash. The owner, an older man, did not ask questions. I used my middle name, Antonio, to register. I needed a clean slate. For days, I barely went out. I let my beard grow, something unthinkable in the army. I ignored Carmen's emails, which went from confusion to anger. "Where are you? This is not a game." I did not respond. She had been clear. She did not want me. I was giving her what she seemed to desire. After a week, the inactivity was driving me crazy. I needed to work, to move. I found a job on a construction site. The foreman, Diego, looked me up and down. "Do you know how to operate machinery?" I nodded. "Afghanistan." I learned fast. He gave me a helmet and €8 an hour in cash. It was hard work, but honest. For the first time in years, I felt in control of my life. A month later, I rented a small apartment in the old town of Zaragoza. It was not much, but it was mine. I started running in the mornings, letting the cold of Leo clear my mind. On one of those runs, I met Javier, a former soldier who ran a hiking program for veterans with post-traumatic stress disorder. "We need guides who understand what these guys have been through," he told me after a coffee. I accepted a part-time job. Leading hikes in the Pyrenees, listening to stories from other soldiers, gave me a purpose that the army no longer offered me. 6 months later, my life in Zaragoza was solid. I had adopted a dog, Max, a loyal mutt who followed me everywhere. My work with Javier grew. I left construction and focused on the veterans. I was not rich, but I was free. Until one day, while preparing for a trip, my phone rang. Miguel Torres, a female voice asked. It was Lucia, Carmen's friend. She needs you. She has been looking for you nonstop. My first instinct was to hang up, but something in her tone stopped me. She just wants to talk, please. Carmen had hired a private detective. He had found my number. I do not owe her anything, I replied dryly. But Lucia insisted. What you heard that night was not the whole truth. She was hurt, frustrated. She loves you, Miguel. I laughed bitterly. She said she did not love me, that I was a burden. Lucia sighed. She was wrong, and she knows it. She just wants a chance to explain. That night I walked the streets of Zaragoza with Max, thinking, I had rebuilt my life. Was it worth looking back? But a part of me, the one that still remembered the Carmen from Malaga, needed to close that chapter. I told Lucia I would think about it. 2 days later, I agreed to talk to Carmen, not for her, but for me, to prove that her words no longer controlled me. Carmen called me the next day. I was on my balcony with Max at my feet when the phone vibrated with an unknown number. I knew it was her. I let it ring twice before answering. Miguel, she said, her voice shaky but familiar. It is me. Silence. I could hear her breathing as if she were searching for words. I do not know where to start. Just, thank you for answering. I did not respond. I was not going to make it easy for her. What you heard that night was not true, she began. I was drunk, frustrated. Lucia had told me about her divorce, and I started comparing. I said horrible things, but I did not mean them. I took a breath, holding back my anger. You said you did not love me, Carmen. That being with me was a burden. You sounded very convinced. She let out a sob. I was wrong. When you disappeared, I realized what I had lost. I thought you were dead, Miguel. I called hospitals, the police. Then I found out you had heard everything and had left because of me. I did not feel pity, but her words stirred something. Pain, nostalgia. What do you want now? I asked curtly. To talk, to see you, to explain. I do not expect you to forgive me right away, but we deserve to try. I laughed dryly. We deserve. I do not owe you anything. Silence again. I know, she said finally. But I love you. I always have. Those words, which once would have meant everything to me, now sounded empty. I need time, I said and hung up. I spent the next few days restless. Javier noticed my distraction on a hike. Trouble at home, friend? He asked. I told him the basics. Talk to her, he advised me. Not for her, but to close that door. Otherwise, it will always haunt you. He was right. I did not want the past to trap me. I agreed to meet Carmen in a neutral place, a cafe in Madrid, halfway between Zaragoza and Seville. I arrived early, with Max waiting in the car. When Carmen walked in, it was hard not to go back in time. She was thinner, with shorter hair, but it was still her. She sat across from me, nervous. Thank you for coming, she said, twisting a ring she still wore. Say what you have to say, I replied coldly. She took a deep breath. What I said that night was a mistake. I was angry with you, with myself. I felt like I was losing you with every mission, that the army was more your home than I was. But when you left, I understood how much I needed you. I looked at her, searching for lies. I did not find them, only regret. You could have talked to me, Carmen. Instead, you destroyed me. She looked down. I know, and I'm sorry, but you ran away too. You did not give me a chance to fight for us. Her words hurt because they were true. I had chosen to disappear rather than confront her. So now what? I asked. I want a second chance, not to go back to the same thing, but to build something new. I did not answer right away. I thought about my life in Zaragoza, the work with veterans, Max, the freedom I had gained. Was it worth risking? I cannot decide this now, I said finally. She nodded, with a mixture of hope and fear. I understand, but I will be in Seville. When you are ready, call me. She gave me an envelope with her new number and address. As I left, I watched her walk away, wondering if that would be the last time. After the meeting in Madrid, I returned to Zaragoza with more questions than answers. Max, my dog, seemed to notice my restlessness and did not leave my side. For days I avoided thinking about Carmen, focusing on the hikes with the veterans, but her voice, her regret, kept creeping into my mind. Was it possible to rebuild something after so much damage? Javier, my boss, gave me some direct advice. Do not decide out of fear, Miguel. If you do not try, you will always wonder. And so I decided to investigate. I used an old email to check social media. Carmen had changed. Her profile showed pictures with children, elementary school students. She had left her corporate job and was now teaching at a school in Seville. She posted about her students, not about parties or girls' nights out. It seemed genuine, but the words I heard that night still burned. Could I trust her? A week later, I received a message from her. Brief, without pressure. I'm here whenever you want to talk. I did not reply, but I saved the number. I took a few days off and went to the Pyrenees with Max. Walking in the mountains always cleared my head. There I remembered the first days with Carmen in Malaga, when everything seemed possible. I also remembered the nights in Afghanistan, clinging to her memory to survive. But the Carmen of now was not the same. Neither was I. I had built a life in Zaragoza that made me feel alive. Did I want to risk it? When I returned, I spoke with Anna, a therapist from the Veterans Program. I told her everything. The betrayal, my escape, the meeting. Forgiveness is not forgetting, Miguel, she said. It is choosing not to let the past control you, but do not rush. Make sure that any decision is for you, not for her. Her words resonated. I did not want to go back out of guilt or nostalgia. If I took a step, it would be for something real. A month later, I made a decision. I called Carmen and proposed meeting in Seville. Just to talk, I made clear. No promises. She accepted instantly. I drove the 700 kilometers with Max in the back seat, doubting every kilometer. When I arrived, I found her in a park near her school. She was with a group of children, laughing as they organized a game. She saw me and approached, nervous but smiling. I did not expect to see you so soon, she said. We walked through the park, Max running around nearby. I have been thinking, I began. What you said that night broke me, but it also made me realize how much I had lost myself in the army. Disappearing was my way of starting over. She nodded, listening. I understand why you did it, and I'm sorry for pushing you to it. I was lost, Miguel, but losing you forced me to face myself. That is why I changed my life. I became a teacher. I want to be someone you are proud of. Her words were sincere, but trust does not come back that quickly. I do not know if I can go back to what we were, I said, but I'm willing to get to know you again. From scratch. Her eyes lit up, though she tried to contain it. That is all I ask. A chance. We agreed to see each other again, without rushing. As I drove back to Zaragoza, I felt something new, not blind hope, but a cautious calm. Maybe there was room for something different. The following months were a careful dance. Carmen and I started talking on the phone, first every 2 weeks, then more often. The conversations were short at first, full of awkward silences. We talked about her work with the children, my hikes with veterans, Max and his antics. We avoided the past, as if touching it could break the fragile connection that was growing. But every call left a question. Was this real, or just an echo of what we were? I decided to try something more. I agreed to visit Seville for a weekend. I arrived with Max and stayed in a hostel near her apartment. Carmen invited me to see her school, a simple building full of children's drawings. While she was grading notebooks, a child came up and gave her a spontaneous hug. She is a great teacher, another teacher told me. Seeing her in her element, so different from the distant woman from before, made me doubt my walls. That night we had dinner at a tapas bar. We talked about everything except us, soccer, movies, the Seville heat. It was easy, almost like before, but I did not fool myself. The trust was still broken. On my next visit, Carmen proposed something unexpected. I want to know your world, Miguel. Take me on one of your hikes. I agreed, though with reservations. I took her on a simple route in the Pyrenees with a small group of veterans. She did not complain about the terrain or the cold. She listened to their stories, asked questions, even helped one with his backpack. Javier winked at me afterwards. Not bad, Torres. For the first time, I saw a bridge between my new life and her, but the past was still there, like a shadow. One day, as we were walking through Seville, I confronted her. Carmen, you said things I cannot erase. How do I know you will not feel the same way again? She stopped, looking me straight in the eye. I cannot promise that we will never argue, but I promise you that I will not keep what I feel to myself again. If I'm not okay, I will talk. I want us to do this right. Her honesty disarmed me. For the first time, I felt that I was not alone in this. I agreed to spend more time together. I started visiting Seville every 2 weeks, and she came to Zaragoza once. Max grew fond of her, which I took as a good sign. But not everything was easy. One night, during dinner, She mentioned Lucia, and the memory of that phone call hit me. Are you still talking to her? I asked, harsher than I wanted to. Carmen did not dodge the question. Yes, but not like before. I told her that what I did was wrong. She also regrets feeding my anger that night. I nodded, but the knot in my chest took a while to loosen. Little by little we began to build something new. It was not the marriage of before, full of easy promises. It was more real, rawer. One night, in my apartment in Zaragoza, Carmen took my hand. Thank you for giving me this chance, Miguel. I know I do not deserve it. I looked at her, searching for the words. It is not just for you, it is for me. I want to know if we can be something better. She smiled, and for the first time in a long time, I did not feel the weight of the past. 6 months after our first talks, I made a decision I never imagined: to leave Zaragoza and move closer to Seville. It was not to surrender to Carmen, but because I wanted to test if we could build something solid. I accepted a job leading a therapy program for veterans in Cadiz, just an hour from Seville. It was a risk, but for the first time in years, I felt it was worth it. I packed my life into a few boxes, put Max in the car, and drove south. Zaragoza had given me a new beginning. Now Cadiz would be the stage for another. Carmen and I agreed to take it slow. We did not move back in together right away. I rented a small apartment in Cadiz, near the sea, and we saw each other on weekends. She would sometimes come with her school stories, and I would take her for walks on the coast with Max. Each meeting was a small but firm step towards something new, but the past did not disappear so easily. One night, while sharing a beer at a beach bar, I asked her what I had been avoiding for months. Was there someone else, Carmen? During those years, when you said you could not stand me. The question came out rawer than I intended. She put the bottle down on the table, looking at me without blinking. No, Miguel, there was never anyone else. My mistake was keeping the pain to myself, not looking for someone else, but I understand why you ask. Her answer was direct, without excuses. I believed her, not because I wanted to, but because her actions backed it up. She had changed. She was open. She talked about her fears. She did not hide them. Still, I told her, if you ever feel that you cannot handle this, tell me. I do not want to find out again from a phone call. She nodded. I promise you, and you promise me the same. No more disappearances. That pact marked a before and after. We started seeing each other more, planning things together. Carmen joined one of my sessions with veterans, helping to organize a charity walk. I attended a play by her students, applauding like a proud father. Max, ever faithful, became our mediator. If we argued, his gaze reminded us not to take ourselves so seriously. But not everything was perfect. There were days when the doubts returned. An argument about my work, which still absorbed me too much, ended with Carmen saying, I do not want to lose you again to your missions, even though they are different now. Instead of keeping quiet, I spoke. I told her I was also afraid of getting lost in her new life as a teacher. That honesty, though uncomfortable, kept us afloat. A year after my move, Carmen and I decided to live together. We rented an apartment in Cadiz, near the beach, where Max could run free. It was not a return to the past, but a new beginning. We sold the old apartment in Seville, closing that chapter. One night, as we were walking along the shore, I told her, I forgive you, Carmen, for what you said, for the pain, but I do not forget, and that will make us stronger. She squeezed my hand. I forgive you too for leaving, and I will not forget, because it taught me to value you. We looked at each other, and in that moment, I knew we were not the same people from Malaga or from that broken night. We were better. The lesson was not just about forgiveness. It was about facing the truth, even when it hurts. Carmen paid the price for her words with a year of guilt and searching. I paid mine with the loneliness of my escape. We both learned that love is not perfect, but it is possible if there is the will. Today, as I write this, Max is sleeping at my feet, and Carmen is grading papers at the table. I do not know what the future holds for us, but I know we will face it together, with our eyes open.